Welcome to the Talkchat podcast. And as usual, the section is the political oracle, and I'm bringing it to you today. And before I do that, before I give you today's topic, I want to bring you our today's political benediction. Politics is not for political Puritans. Activists are essentially Puritans who push systemic change and hold strong ethical convictions about justice, about fairness, and about rights. So, as we go to our today's discussion, understand this, that politics is not for political Puritans. What are we discussing today? Today, I'm going to have a strong thesis, a strong hypothesis regarding to popular activists in this country. Activists Morara and Omtatah have little chance in politics, and that is my thesis. And I want to discuss the weaknesses of Morara Kebaso and Okia Omtatah, because many people have fronted them as capable political or presidential candidates in 2027. I want to say that they are human rights activists who mistakenly consider themselves politicians. And that is what makes them hard. Unless they transform themselves from activists to politicians, they are non-starters in politics. And politics and human rights activism are like two sides of the same coin. Understand this. Politics and human rights activism are like two sides of the same coin. But these two sides, they cannot appear simultaneously. What am I saying? Human rights activism is emotional, but politics is tactical, is conniving, and dirty. And that is why, for example, Martha Karua, Kivuda Kibwana, Getobu Imanyara, just to mention a few of the people who can be said to have a bigger percentage of activism, more than being politicians. These were members of the 1990s Young Turks, and they have always struggled in their political career because it is usually hard for an activist to fit into a politician's shoes. And politics is dirty. It thrives on suppressing human rights. Activists are political purists because they will never survive in a soup made of tomato sauce, but they claim to hate the tomato fruit unless they compromise. So political activists, unless they compromise, they cannot survive as politicians. And I want to put to Kenyans that knowledge is recognizing that politicians make good activists. I repeat, politicians make good activists. But wisdom is understanding that activists cannot make good politicians. And that is why Morara Kebaso and Okia Omtatah are going to find it hard if they decide to go for presidency. I understand that Okia Omtatah is already a senator. That is not the hallmark of actually politics. And I can tell you, if you look at the way he acts, he does not act as a politician. He acts as an activist. And that is the big deal. Another thing you need to note about this is politics is being ready to eat and to be eaten. Activism is watching out so that no one is eating or getting eaten. Where can we put Morara Kebaso and also Okia Omtatah in this. Can they eat? I doubt. Can they be eaten? Yes, they can be eaten. But can they stand and see and witness people eating? I don't think so. And that is what has given them actually popularity in this country. They have refused to stand to see people eat. If they cannot do that, they cannot be politicians. If they cannot stand and eat people, they cannot be politicians. I know this is a joke, but that is why we usually say politics is dirty and you cannot mix actually politicians and activists. That is why I started by saying Puritans cannot become politicians. And if we want to have them become actually politicians, we will lose them. And that is the political oracle.